Some stories break you, some heal you. But here at My 90s Love Story, we're here to fill your heart. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. I went back to school to clear out my things after the college entrance exams. And there, sitting on my desk, was a diary. It wasn't mine, but my name was written on the cover. A thick, worn diary hiding a whole youth inside it. It was the diary of a boy who had quietly loved me for 3 years. At 17, bright and fresh, in the years I always thought of as ordinary and dull, it turned out there had been someone who loved me that much. The day the exams ended was a beautiful sunny day. It was 4:55 in the afternoon. I was sitting in the exam room, and I lifted my head to look out the window. The room was silent as still water. The green trees outside almost wrapped their branches around the window frame, their shadows swaying in the wind. I didn't dare move much. I glanced up at the clock, took a deep breath, and capped my pen. Every tick of that clock was another second of 3 years of high school slipping away. Every stroke my hand made was writing the unknown future of my life. More than 10 years of hard study. And it all came down to a single morning and afternoon. More than 10 years buried in books. All those lessons, all those years, closing quietly inside a few sheets of exam paper. The bell rang. Time was up. Please put down your pens. I looked around one last time, at the place that had been my whole world for 3 years, and then slowly walked out of the room. After the exam, I didn't feel any of the giddy joy I'd imagined, that rush of finally escaping high school. Instead, my heart filled with a vague ache of loss and goodbye. I came out of the exam building, and exactly as I'd expected, my dad came rushing over, worried and out of breath. The little strawberry cream cake he'd bought for me had nearly been crushed from all the jostling. The crowd, held back by roped-off lines, opened a single path down the middle. Countless eyes turned toward me, and then, once they confirmed I wasn't their child, quickly looked away. Everything around me was loud and chaotic, and yet I suddenly felt like I was standing in another world. I realized my youth was ending like this, like quiet ripples on water. Something that had seemed loud and dazzling but was closing without a sound. The next day, I went back to school to gather up the last odds and ends I'd left behind. I walked through the wisteria-covered corridor and past a few of the younger students walking together. No makeup, hair pulled up in high ponytails that bounced softly with their bright young steps, their eyes shining like stars. The storage room was where we all left our leftover things. Every corner, big and small, was piled with uneven stacks of books, old exams shoved in between them. I walked over to my own stack, the prime spot I'd claimed and held for 3 years. I was about to grab my bag and head home when I noticed a thick blue notebook. My name was on it, but it wasn't my handwriting. Confused, I picked it up and looked around. Everyone near me was an unfamiliar face, all of them packing up their own things. I flipped it open, searching for a name, a signature, anything. Nothing. How strange. There was only a tiny letter K in the bottom right corner, and beside it, a small drawing of a paper airplane. Full of doubt, I turned to the first page. September 2nd, 2018. Sunny Sunday, first day of high school. The summer wind was blowing so hard it turned my hair into a tangled mess, and me, well, dragging a giant suitcase. I looked exactly like a wilted head of cabbage left out in the sun. The teacher told us to keep a diary to practice our writing. I have no idea what to write. So I'll just write down the interesting thing that happened today. It was pretty funny, actually. Somebody grabbed my blanket by mistake. I just stood there and watched a girl walk off with it. Then again, all the school blankets look the same. I guess I can't really blame her. Ugh. Wait. What? I read that first page and just sat there, stunned. Move-in day really had been blazing hot. My head was buzzing, and all I wanted was to hide in the shade like a lazy cat. My dad kept nagging me to carry the bedding upstairs, so, annoyed, I just grabbed the nearest blanket and ran up with it. That night, when I came back and opened it up to make my bed, I realized it wasn't my familiar Ultraman blanket at all. It was a plain, solid-colored one. I panicked and searched everywhere, the bed, the closet, but my blanket was nowhere to be found. There was only one possibility. I'd taken the wrong one. I tried to remember that day. It was all a blur. All I knew was that somehow I'd walked off with someone else's blanket. And after that, I just kept using it. And I used it for 3 whole years. That blanket in my memory really was so comfortable, soft and sweet smelling. I'd always assumed I'd accidentally taken some other girl's blanket. Only now did I understand. I'd swapped blankets with the boy who wrote this diary. I wondered how he must have reacted when he saw my Ultraman blanket. My guess was that he secretly loved it. I mean, think about it. What boy could ever say no to an Ultraman blanket? His little complaint made me laugh. I covered my mouth, smiling, and kept reading. September 3rd, 2018. Sunny Monday. First real day of classes. I tossed and turned half the night and still couldn't bring myself to sleep under the blanket. It felt strange. I barely slept. Nearly passed out during the flag ceremony. But I spotted the person who took my blanket yesterday. She's a small, petite girl. The yard was packed for the ceremony. I tried to push through to find her, and just when I finally got close, she took off. Come on, I really, really do not want to use an Ultraman blanket. Ugh, because I burst out laughing at that. I'd always thought everyone loved Ultraman as much as I did, but apparently he was the exception. No taste at all. That blanket had to have been comfortable. My mom stuffed the cotton into it herself. And another thing. All 3 years of high school, every Monday morning, we had to sit through the whole flag ceremony before we were allowed to eat breakfast. The moment it ended, the entire school stampeded toward the cafeteria, and if you were even a little slow, there'd be nothing left. So every single Monday, the second the ceremony ended, I'd run for the cafeteria like my life depended on it. No wonder he could never find me. He had zero food-grabbing experience. A top student, for sure. Us cafeteria experts, the ones who were bad at studying but fast on our feet, we couldn't really blame him. The big storage room was empty now except for me. The old electric fan was still turning slowly. The window was open. It was almost 7, but the sky was still bright. The sunset climbed through the window and crept into the room, washing the notebook in a warm gold. I turned to the next page, my fingertip brushing the paper, the sound of it carrying across the empty room. September 4th, 2018. Sunny Tuesday. Ugh, I've given up trying to find the blanket girl. She wasn't anywhere at military training yesterday afternoon. I ended up nervously falling asleep under her blanket. It was the first time I'd ever slept under a girl's blanket. This faint, sweet scent that has nothing to do with a guy like me. Besides, giving it back now would be weird. And I can't exactly hand a girl a blanket that some sweaty boy has been sleeping under either. My brain's in knots over this. Also, the school food is terrible. But this morning I saw her. She's in the 22nd squad. 22? So she's in class 22. This whole strange thing has me so caught up, I can't stop sneaking looks at her. The uniform's supposed to be neat, but on her it looks like she just came stumbling out of a ditch. How does someone not even know how to wear their own clothes? Ugh, come on, out of a ditch? What kind of ridiculous comparison is that from some science track genius? I stared quietly at the page. I thought back to military training. Our school locked us in, no coming and going as you pleased. My training pants were way too big, and I didn't have a belt, so all I could do was tie them up with a length of rope. Every day, it was over 90 degrees, and I felt like I was about to keel over and die, buttoning my shirt up any old sloppy way. One day, my dad came to the front gate to drop something off, And he laughed and said I looked like a beaten soldier, limping home from a war we'd lost. So that's what I looked like in everyone else's eyes. I leaned gently against the table in the storage room, picked the diary back up, and kept reading. The fan kept creaking around and around. September 7th, 2018. Cloudy Friday. It's the weirdest thing. Ever since then, I keep running into the blanket girl everywhere. I still don't know her name, so for now, I'll just call her the blanket girl. She seems like a lively one. This morning, I saw the drill instructor haul her out to march by herself. Looked like he'd caught her slacking, standing there all hunched over. Military training's almost done. Tonight there's a variety show, every class putting on a performance. Lots of people volunteered to go up. The instructor said I was handsome and told me to get on stage, but I was too shy and wouldn't do it. And then, out of nowhere, the blanket girl went up to perform. She sang a song, Thin Paper, Deep Love. I think that's the name. It sounded really nice. I've got to look it up when I get home this weekend. I squinted, trying to call the melody back. That summer of 2018, for some reason, that song had suddenly become a huge hit. The gentle, delicate lyrics made my heart flutter. I'd had the whole thing memorized for ages, just waiting for a chance at military training to show off. But I'd completely forgotten I actually sang it there. And I never would have guessed that somebody was writing a diary about me singing. A strange feeling rose up in me. Something almost like shyness. Yes, shy and strange. I pulled my thoughts back and made myself keep reading. September 8th, 2018. Light rain, Saturday. The blanket girl's class is on the 4th floor. Mine's on the 1st, so it's a bit of a distance. I really want to get to know her. But how do I even open my mouth? Hey, you took the wrong blanket. I'm using yours. Seems too weird. Forget it. Good grief, how do I not even know how to talk to a girl? I'm not used to this at all. Maybe I should ask the guys. Yeah, better ask first. First impressions matter. Our school sorted us into classes by our entrance exam scores. 24 classes in all, ranked from highest to lowest. My score had only cleared the cutoff for this top school by 3 points. I got put into class 22 up on the 4th floor, always losing the race to the cafeteria. The boy writing this diary was on the 1st floor, which meant he had to be one of the top students. I was getting more and more curious. Who could he be? I turned another page. September 13th, 2018. Sunny, Thursday. Got picked as the math rep for our class. Why me? Was I just born to be good at math? I went up to the office to turn in homework and saw the sign-up list for the welcome party sitting on the desk. Class 22. Emma Callahan. Song. The Mortal World Inn. Emma Callahan. That name sounds so familiar. And suddenly the memory of move-in day came back to me. I think that's the blanket girl. I heard her dad calling out for her to hurry up and grab the blanket. So she's going to perform? If I'd known, I would have signed up too. And there it was. Reading that, the past unlocked all at once and came rushing back at me like a tide. I've always loved trying new things whenever the chance came up. There weren't many activities in high school, so if there was ever a chance to try something new, I'd jump on it. The Mortal World Inn was my favorite song. It had a line I loved. No matter who in this whole world wins fame and glory, I bow only to you. I found myself humming it without even meaning to. September 17th, 2018. Sunny, Monday. This Friday is the freshman welcome party, and then we get a break for the Mid-Autumn Festival. Last week's quiz didn't go great, just guessed my way through a bunch of it. Haven't seen the blanket girl lately. But this morning, I looked across at the balcony outside her class in the opposite building, and there she was, sprawled over the railing eating her breakfast. Reading his diary kept dragging old scenes back up, like my 3 years of high school were being lived all over again. The stairs I used to climb, the barely edible cafeteria food, the corridor buried under wisteria, all of it came slowly back to life. Our high school ran on one of those famously strict boot camp-style systems, the kind where every single minute is scheduled and the pressure never lets up. For 3 years, I'd buy breakfast in the cafeteria and carry it out to the balcony to eat, leaning on the railing to watch the goings-on in the building across from us. Our grade was split between two separate buildings, joined by a walkway with an LED screen in the middle. From our balcony, you could see straight across to the corridor outside the classrooms opposite. I used to lie draped over that railing, watching my childhood friend, over in class 17 on the third floor of the other building, get chewed out by her homeroom teacher. After standing a while, I pulled over one of the storage room stools, wiped the dust off it, sat down, and kept reading. September 20th, 2018. Sunny, Thursday. This afternoon was the dress rehearsal for the welcome party. My roommate volunteered to be one of the stage crew just so he could ogle the pretty girls, and he wanted to drag me along too. I really didn't want to go. But the class president kept pulling me off to prep for the math contest that my roommates had signed me up for. Going means a 100% chance of seeing the blanket girl, so definitely going. And lucky for me, she sings well, so at least the trip won't be a waste. September 21st, 2018. Sunny, Friday. The welcome party's about to start. Our crew is waiting backstage for the cue. The blanket girl is sitting back there mouthing the lyrics to herself. Through the clear glass, I can see her lashes trembling a little. She's wearing a red dress, hair in twin braids. I don't dare look at her too long, afraid I'll get caught. Wow, the blanket girl like this is really cute. The show went smoothly. Halfway through, somebody actually asked me if I knew her, if I had her number. I had nothing. So annoying. Going to bed. I slowly sank back into the memory. He must have been the boy who helped me get the microphone. The sad part is that back then I was too nervous to understand the courage it took, or how hard it must have been for him to step on that stage. Every step he took, was he really just trying to get closer to me? That day, I really had worn a red dress, though I've forgotten how my hair was done. Luckily, a friend had filmed it. The video was still on my phone. I took it out, so anxious I kept opening the wrong apps. Finally, I found it. The quality was poor now, after all this time. I skipped ahead to the part where one walked on stage. For a moment, my heart nearly stopped, but not from excitement. On the screen, there was a tall, thin boy in a school uniform, his back to the stage, adjusting my microphone for me. And the second he finished, he hurried off. The video never caught his face. I couldn't tell if I was disappointed or just holding my breath. A dry, hot night wind began to blow. The noise of the school faded away. Now and then, a student or two passed by, carrying books. My fingers, following the movement of the wind, turned another page. I took a deep breath to steady myself and quietly kept reading his diary. September 24th, 2018. Cloudy Monday. It's the Mid-Autumn Festival. My mom sent me out to run errands. Went to the new supermarket at the Moonview Crossroads. So crowded. And I saw the blanket girl. Does she live near here? She seems to really like potato chips. Her cart was full of them. Well, happy mid-autumn. The new supermarket at the Moonview Crossroads had to be the New Moon Market. Things were cheaper there than anywhere else. So my dad used to take me. And every single time, the moment he wasn't looking, I'd toss a bag of chips into the cart. September 25th, 2018. Cloudy, Tuesday. Had to get to school early this morning, so I took the bus. The stop near my house is Moonview Garden West Gate. It's 4 stops from school, and I was still pretty early. The bus was packed with elderly folks, not a seat to be had, so I just stood there holding the rail. One stop later, the blanket girl squeezed on. She ended up standing right next to me, and she wasn't even holding on properly. She almost fell over and I caught her. Okay, going to sleep now. Good night. I sat in the storage room, staring blankly at the page. His house was 4 stops from school. Mine was 3. My stop was Moonview Neighborhood East Gate. We must have been riding the same number 15 bus. The last stop on the number 15 was our city's #1 high school. Thinking about how many countless times we must have crossed paths, I couldn't hold back the need to know who he was. I wanted more and more to meet him. It had gotten dark. On my way home, I stood at the familiar stop, waiting for the bus. Under the dim streetlight, I couldn't help opening the diary again. November 24th, 2018. Cloudy, Saturday. So, why is it that when I opened my diary today, I realized that basically everything in it big and small, has something to do with the blanket girl? Have I lost my mind? Some spirit must have possessed me because I followed her off the bus. I even tried the cucumber-flavored chips she loves, and I couldn't stop myself from getting a little holiday gift ready for her. Kyle, buddy, you are done for. November 26th, 2018. Cloudy, Monday. What even counts as liking someone? Is this what liking someone is? My brain hurts. November 27th, 2018. Cloudy, Tuesday. Test results are out. You can check the whole grades rankings on the homeroom teacher's office computer. The office was packed. My finger slid down the score sheet. Kyle Bradford, rank 13. Lower than I thought, I kept scrolling. Emma Callahan, rank 1103. Physics, 18. Chemistry, 32. Biology, 50. Looks like she's not so great at the sciences. Something in me wanted to march right over and tutor her, but I was afraid she'd think I was some kind of lunatic. Ugh! How do I break this stalemate? Under the streetlight, his clean flowing handwriting left me in a daze. A faint image of a boy's back rose up in my mind. I really did want to know who he was. The more I read, the more curious I got. And yet his diary also stirred up something painful. The memory of being a struggling student before we split into the science and humanities tracks. Right at the start of our second year, before the split, we had to take a comprehensive exam. That was the time I got an 18 in physics. I'll never forget the feeling of being struck by lightning the moment I saw that score. I didn't even dare look at my rank. Out of 1,260 students in the grade, I was near the very bottom. When my classmates tried to comfort me, I just said breezily that an 18 was exactly what I deserved. I mean, I slept through every physics, chemistry, and biology class. And ever since middle school, those logical, technical subjects had always been my weakness. I acted like I couldn't care less. But of course I cared. How could I not? I didn't want to let my parents down. That whole stretch of time, I was so conflicted inside. Sometimes I doubted myself. Sometimes I tried to comfort myself. It was miserable and lonely on top of it. I truly never imagined that in the middle of that dark time, there was a boy who could see straight through my disguise with a single glance, a boy who quietly wore himself out trying to help me in his own way. November 28th, 2018. Sunny Wednesday. All the exams from the whole grade got jumbled together. Each of the 24 classes has to sort them and hand them back one by one. This is the first really important exam. It started with our class. I honestly didn't want to go hand out papers. But in the end, I went. When it got to class 22, well, the first big physics question really just needs a formula plugged in. So I wrote out the full solution for each problem on her paper. Hope she sees it. Emma Callahan. The old bus came rumbling and grinding down the empty road toward the stop. In a daze, I stepped onto the number 15. So I'd finally found the culprit. The person who'd written all those red pen solutions on my physics test that whole first year. It had been him, the top student. His careful, detailed solutions, his handwriting, had walked me through so many dark nights when I'd collapsed over my terrible grades, and given me just enough confidence to keep going. I took a deep breath and let out a sigh. There were plenty of empty seats, so I took my usual spot by the window. By the weak light of the bus and the street lamp sliding past the glass, I read on, a bitterness slowly rising in my chest. November 29th, 2018. Light snow, Thursday. They say the first snow is the best time to confess how you feel. I spent the whole day rereading this diary. Blanket girl, it's snowing. I think I should just admit it. I like you. My hand, mid-turn, froze on the page. My breath caught, and the corners of my eyes started to sting. I'd always thought that in my dull little youth, a girl with an unremarkable ponytail, a face as plain could be, cheeks sometimes dotted with pimples, an oversized uniform swallowing up whatever spark I might have had, I'd thought no one could ever like a girl like me. My whole youth had been wrapped in that low self-esteem. But it turned out that someone did like a bland, ordinary person like me. December 7th, 2018. Heavy snow, Friday. Parent-teacher meeting today. I saw you sneaking off to cry on the railing. Don't cry, I'll write you even more detailed solutions. You'll definitely get it right next time. December 24th, 2018. Light snow Monday. It's Christmas. I came in early this morning. Left an apple on your desk. Stay safe, always. Blanket Girl. December 25th, 2018. Light snow Tuesday. Merry Christmas. Sorry I don't have the courage to tell you to your face. December 29th, 2018. Cloudy Saturday. I can never stop myself from wandering out to the corridor to look up at your balcony. When you eat your breakfast, all you'd have to do is glance down and you'd see me. Every single time you could see me. January 1st, 2019. Sunny Tuesday. Blanket Girl. Happy New Year. This year, in 2019, don't go off and cry by yourself anymore. Sitting on the bus, I suddenly felt my heart racing. A little short of breath. I hurried to read on. January 3rd, 2019. Sunny Thursday. You just got braces. Don't be shy about smiling. It doesn't look bad at all. Never mind. Even if I write it, you'll never see it anyway. January 15th, 2019. Sunny Tuesday. We ran into each other at the corner of the stairwell today. The second I saw you, I panicked, dropped my head, and rushed past. You didn't even notice me. If you had turned around, you'd have realized I was watching you. A few tears fell onto the diary. I quickly wiped them away, but no matter how I tried, I couldn't quite get them all. January 18th, 2019. Cloudy Friday. Next week, it's our class's turn on hall duty. I asked for the evening study hall shift. So, next week, I'll get to see you every single day. Sleep well, my blanket girl. Passing by your class, I saw you sitting in the back row, head down, working on math homework. You looked so serious. Keep it up. Tomorrow's the last day of duty. No more peeking at you through the back door. All I'll be able to do is pretend to be some idle guy strolling past your window, so I can steal a look. And you? Can you feel how strongly I feel about you? January 26, 2019. Sunny Saturday. Last week was the weekly exam. The blanket girl studied so hard. She's sure to score well. Don't worry too much. Winter break is coming. Those long, endless days. I have no way to reach you, and I wouldn't dare bother you. You shouldn't have to be burdened by my one-sided feelings. January 28th, 2019. Sunny Monday. My blanket girl. Happy New Year. Have a good winter break. February 1st, 2019. Cloudy Friday. Feels like it's been forever since I saw you. Today's the 27th of the lunar month. I went to the supermarket to try my luck. Didn't run into you. But I bought the chips. The flavor you like. February 4th, 2019. Light snow, Monday. It's New Year's Eve. The streets are glittering with lights. Right on time, the firecrackers crackle to welcome the new year. If only I could wish you a Happy New Year to your face. Happy New Year, blanket girl. Blanket girl, the ground is covered in coins. But I look up and see the moon. Moonview Neighborhood East Gate. Passengers getting off, please take care. Passengers getting on, please move to the back. Next stop, Moonview Garden West Gate. I held the notebook, tears soaking into the words on the page. Crying and drying the paper at the same time, I hurried off the bus. I crouched down under the stop near my house and wiped my eyes. In a daze, I could almost see that long ago, someone had once stood here too, waiting and hoping I'd come. If I had turned around back then, would I have understood how he felt? I crouched there under the sign, and by the glow of the intersection lights and the light spilling from the shop still open into the night, I kept reading. February 11th, 2019. Sunny Monday. Back to school today. I walked past your class. You were copying out the winter break homework. So, stayed up late scrambling through it again last night, huh? I let out a laugh at that, tears still on my face, nose running. I never once did my winter homework properly. I was always the type to leave it untouched until the night before school started, then pull an all-nighter to make it all up, running up my family's electricity bill. any question I couldn't do. I'd borrow a friend's answers at school and copy them. Well, I've graduated now. No more all-nighters cramming winter homework. February 14th, 2019. Sunny, Thursday. So many couples getting together at school lately. It's Valentine's Day. A friend of mine confessed to the girl he likes. I couldn't do it. I don't even have the nerve to ask for your number. Day after day, I feel like I'm being swallowed up by the setting sun. Blanket girl, will my feelings ever get to see the light of day? Could I ever tell you how I feel? That awful homeroom teacher told me to organize the student files. So I organized Class 22's while I was at it. Oh, your birthday is March 13th. That's coming up soon. My birthday really is March 13th. It would have been right there on the file. So he sorted through the whole class's records just to find out when my birthday was. February 28th, 2019. Sunny, Thursday. Saw you running laps in PE out on the field. You're always in the very last row. Everyone around you is bigger and taller than you. And there you are in the middle of them all, bouncing along, laughing and talking. Be careful. Don't trip and fall. Well, I never liked crowding up to the front for those PE laps. I preferred hanging back like a lazy cat. Run in the last row, and the tall kids block you so no one can see you're not actually chanting or keeping pace. Honestly, running like that was so comfortable. March 13th, 2019. Sunny, Wednesday. Happy 16th birthday. I really hope that one day I'll get to say it to you directly. March 20th, 2019. Cloudy, Wednesday. They post the photos of the top 3 students from each class on the honor board downstairs. Our class has too many talented people. It's hard to crack the top 3. But I still hope that one day you'll walk past it and maybe get a chance to see me. So this time, I passed the midterms. Will you notice me? Our high school had a notice board at the base of the main teaching building. After every exam, the photos, names, and classes of the top scorers went up on it. As well as he did, he must have made that board all the time. Something suddenly occurred to me, and I flipped back to the spot where he'd mentioned his own name in the diary. Kyle Bradford, rank 13. I ran my fingers over the name on the page. It was a familiar name. As I sat there half remembering, a conversation came back to me. One day, my friend Grace and I were walking past the teaching building. We were bored, so we stopped to look at the honor board. Grace pointed at one of the boys on the list and said, "Oh, wow, look at him. He's smart and he's handsome." I followed her finger and saw a fair, tidy-looking boy in black-framed glasses, very scholarly, very gentle-seeming. He stood out even among all those top students. I nodded along, agreeing, but I only felt a kind of distant admiration and thought nothing more of it. In my mind, the distance between a godlike person like that and me was so vast you couldn't have crossed it in a lifetime. One of us was on the 4th floor, the other on the 1st. Our ranks were 1,000 places apart. It was an unbridgeable gap, a distance I could never reach across. And now, a face that had already been sitting in my memory suddenly rose to the surface. My heart pounded, and my face went hot without my meaning it to. I wiped my eyes and read on. April 1st, 2019. Sunny, Monday. It's April Fool's Day. Our literature teacher taught us this old poetic trick. In ancient times, when a husband missed his wife, he'd write it in a roundabout way, something like, "My wife back home is missing me. So instead of I miss you, you say the other way around. I won't say that I miss you, but I'll say that you miss me. Yeah, you miss me." April 8th, 2019. Sunny, Monday. Looks like there's a sports meet in early May. The arts teacher is picking people to prepare a number for the opening ceremony. I saw you got picked for the dance team. Don't just practice your dancing and forget to eat, okay? You've got rehearsal every lunch break. Make sure you eat. The opening ceremony needs flag bearers. That means every afternoon I could be practicing right there with you. I went back and forth on it, and in the end, I decided to sign up. See you tomorrow afternoon, my blanket girl. You dance so beautifully. I was so busy watching you that I stepped right on the guy in front of me. April 28th, 2019. Cloudy, Sunday. They moved the opening ceremony up. I'm in the full dress uniform. My buddies all say I look ridiculously handsome. I wonder if you'll notice me. I saw you. You've got makeup on and your performance costume. You look so beautiful. How do I even tell you how radiant you are? I carefully moved myself over next to you. And I heard you quietly ask the classmate beside you what class that tall boy was in. He's the school genius. I told you about him the other day. Lucky for me, when you chat with your friends, they've mentioned that I exist. As I slowly got better at everything, the crowd kept nudging me toward you. That leaves a trace, doesn't it? The best student across 3 years of high school is named Kyle. The tallest is named Kyle. And the one who likes the blanket girl the most is named Kyle, too. April 29th, 2019. Sunny, Monday. Sports meet today. I remember checking the sign-up sheet in the teacher's office. You weren't on it. So why did you suddenly end up in the relay? I was sitting in our class tent and saw you getting ready to run. So I borrowed a camera, pretended to be a photographer just so I could run alongside you. Forgive me for not being able to run beside you out in the open, the way anyone else could. All I can do is pretend I'm here to take pictures. At that, the tears I just wiped away came pouring back down like a flood, and there was no stopping them. So it had been him. That hot afternoon, the red track giving off a scorched smell under the burning sun, a race number pinned to my chest. I was never any good at sports and hadn't signed up at all, but that day a girl in our class sprained her ankle, and I got roped in as the reluctant substitute. I stood at the starting line scowling, in ready position. A shot rang out and I took off, running with everything I had, feeling like I was about to die. While I ran, the whole world seemed to shrink down to just the track in front of me and the wind screaming past my ears. Halfway through, I was spent. And suddenly a boy's voice was right beside me saying, "Keep going." It felt so close, close enough to touch. I gritted my teeth and pushed forward. That voice by my ear back then, it had to have been his, didn't it? I covered my face with my hands and wiped away the tears. In those fierce, storm-defying years, someone had quietly walked a long stretch of that road right beside me. June 1st, 2019. Sunny, Tuesday, Little Emma Callahan. Happy Children's Day. June 4th, 2019. Sunny, Tuesday. Today the seniors were set free, done with their exams. They stood up on the teaching building, tearing their books apart. Paper snow filled the whole sky. I grabbed a handful of it. That was their whole youth. Gone. And what about us? The principal came out screaming at everyone to stop. Watching them graduate, it seemed to happen in the blink of an eye. Will these 3 years of ours pass by just as fast? The relationship we never even got to start is already almost over. Life is one long subtraction. Meet one more person, and you forget another. Blanket girl, I've met you so many times, but you've never once seen me. In this whole stretch of memory, I'm the only one who knows you, and I'll be the only one who ever turns the pages of this book. One really want to close my eyes and read it out loud to you. How much I like you. I curled up in the corner, closed my eyes, and let my fingers gently trace the words on the page. Kyle, I hear you. I hear everything your heart was saying. June 19th, 2019. Sunny, Wednesday. Ran into you on the street. I'm so used to seeing you in your uniform. Well, you look pretty in anything. That bookstore you go to, I go there a lot too. If only I could have met you sooner. The bookstore he meant had to be the little shop across from my old middle school. It was tiny, but the owner was handsome and refined. We used to squeeze inside and sneak glances at him. His wife was elegant and gentle too, and the two of them made a lovely pair. Even after I started high school, I never minded riding the number 15 bus 12 stops just to buy books there. On weekends, I'd use buying books as my excuse to go wander that part of town. Each visit, I'd buy just one volume of a history series about the Ming Dynasty because I couldn't afford the whole set. So I saved up my weekly allowance bit by bit and bought it that way until I had the full set, all 9 volumes. They're still sitting on my shelf at home. July 22nd, 2019. Sunny Monday. Final exam today. I'm lending you every bit of my luck. This placement exam, the blanket girl, is definitely going to do well. Don't be scared. July 26th, 2019. Sunny Friday. I've been practicing my handwriting lately. Looking back at the diary I wrote before, it's like a cat scratched it out. Emma Callahan. The strokes I used to write her name are strong and sure now. Without thinking, I turned to the very last page of the diary. The whole page was filled with my name. Big ones and small ones. Some scrawled fast and loose, some careful and neat. I looked up at the moon, my vision blurring. The moon seemed to be crying right along with me. August 20th, 2019. Sunny Monday. Saw you on the honor board. I took a picture of it. So adorable. I don't wish for you to be too outstanding. I just want you happy and safe every single day. There was a photo tucked into this page. I picked it up. It was a picture of me on the honor board, a little blurry because it was shot through the glass. On the back it said, August 20th, 2019, commemorating the first time the blanket girl made the honor board. In the photo, I was pressing my lips together, trying to hold back a smile. When I found out I'd made the board, I couldn't stop grinning. Modesty is all pretend. Only the people who make it all the time can shrug it off. For someone like me, who'd never seen much of anything, who'd only lucked into a good score by some fluke, making that board was an enormous honor. You could see the pure joy of it in the photo. I held the picture in my hand and smiled, and the tears started falling all over again. He never missed a single important moment of my youth. He worked so hard to find me, to understand me. And me? Did I ever once notice the boy who passed me by, looking up at the 4th floor? Did I ever notice how he felt? August 23rd, 2019. Sunny Monday. The new students came in for military training today. I was doing my math homework and drifted off thinking about you. That afternoon, you standing there in the middle of the crowd, singing so calmly. Around then, every class in the grade had to join the patriotic song contest. Our class is still choosing a song. The homeroom teacher wanted me to be the narrator. I politely turned it down. I'm a bit of an introvert. Our school held the patriotic song contest every second year. It was a big deal. Both the homeroom teachers and the head of academics took it very seriously. And I, once again, took advantage of my little position to peek at the performer list for his class. In the end, his class chose the song Night at the Naval Port. Neither the narration nor the lead vocal was him. It didn't matter, though. In a whole sea of people, I only needed one glance to find him. My class was on the humanities track, so we had very few boys and couldn't manage the big, powerful songs, which is how we ended up choosing this one. Those days came drifting back into my mind. September 15th, 2019. Cloudy, Sunday. All the classes were lined up side by side. I finally spotted you. But wait, why? It's a singing contest, and there you are off to the side dancing your heart out? The tears on my face still weren't dry. I crouched under the streetlight and laughed. I can only really carry a pop tune for fun, but ask me to sing something proper and traditional, and I'm hopeless compared to everyone else. For that contest, our song had a short instrumental break in the middle, perfect for slipping in a little dance to spice it up. Somehow, against all odds, I ended up as one of the backup dancers. The whole performance ran 5 or 6 minutes, and I was only on stage for maybe 30 or 40 seconds. I never dreamed he'd have noticed even that. September 27th, 2019. Cloudy, Friday, performance day. Backstage, our class is all in uniform. I saw you. You're in ballet shoes, a green dress, your hair long and loose. You've got makeup on. There's something sparkling at the corner of your eye. When you bounced up and down behind the stage, could you feel me watching you? The show went smoothly. I ran over to the audience seats and got a photo of you just in time. After the performance, they let us go home, and suddenly, it started to drizzle. I saw you without an umbrella, crouched under the bus stop sign looking so pitiful. My head felt like it was going to burst. I rushed over and pulled off my uniform jacket. And then I just stood there next to you, holding it in my hands. I didn't have the courage to hand it to you. I'm sorry. Don't apologize, Kyle. I shook my head, crying, choking out his name and telling him not to apologize. I remember the boy who stood with me in the rain that day, for what felt like half a day. Remember the safe, solid shape of his back as he stepped sideways toward me. I've always remembered. A bitter, indescribable lump caught in my throat and wouldn't go down. The tension that had already been at its limit was pushed up one more notch. October 10th, 2019. Cloudy, Thursday. Long time since I've seen you. I've been forcing myself to stay busy. But when night comes, I think of you again. Blanket girl. What am I supposed to do about you? When did you start taking over my entire youth? I always want to pick up my pen and write something, but words can't carry what's in my heart. How do I tell you? And in what capacity would I even do it? November 1st, 2019. Yetekyaki Sunny, Friday. Today, one of the younger students secretly slipped a love letter into my desk, and I thought to myself, she's brave. She can put what's in her heart right out there to the person she likes. I can't. The teacher forgot about collecting the diaries ages ago. I flipped back through mine, dazed. Turns out I've written this much. And you? Will there ever be a day when you know? November 15th, 2019. Cloudy Friday. Sometimes I feel like I've gotten used to it all. Used to wandering out to the corridor to search for you on that fourth-floor balcony across the way. Used to pretending to pass your class and stealing a look through the window. Used to hunting for you at the Moonview stop. Used to looking for you in the crowd after school. Used to catching every moment of you on my camera. Used to freezing whenever I happened to overhear your name. Used to liking you. How am I ever supposed to tell you any of this? I couldn't hold it in anymore. I crouched under the streetlight and cried out loud, suddenly certain that I would never come across a story or a person like this again for the rest of my life. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why didn't I figure it out sooner? When clearly at every single moment we could have met. November 22nd, 2019. Heavy snow Friday. It's the first snow of 2019. Last year's first snow, I admitted in this diary that I liked you. This year's first snow, I still like you. There's the school's winter cross-country race. I always used to shy away from things like that. But this time I signed up. I don't know why. Maybe I still just want you to notice me. So, does that mean every day of liking you has slowly made me into a better person? I remembered that winter cross-country race. It was just that I'd caught a cold that day and didn't go watch. I was napping in the classroom when Grace came in and said the champion this time had gone to class 1. Half asleep, I heard people around me marveling at how someone could be that good at school, that good at sports, and that handsome, all at once. And I thought, come on, no such person exists. Is this some kind of international joke? Round and round it went, and it was Kyle again. All along, he'd been trying to make an impression on me in his own quiet way. That sweetness, after so much bitterness, left me a little overwhelmed. I paused to collect myself before turning the page again. December 2nd, 2019. Sunny, Monday. I'm at winter camp. Stay well at school, okay? Even if you sleep in, remember to eat breakfast. Don't hole up in the classroom at lunch without eating anything. Then again, even if I write more, you'll never see it. December 25th, 2019. Light snow Wednesday, blanket girl, Merry Christmas. I hope that one day I can tell you directly. January 23rd, 2020. Sunny Thursday. Woke up suddenly. There are a lot of infections all over the country now. Our province has suspected cases too. The news is flooding the internet. Some people say it's nothing serious, not contagious. but I think it's a lot like SARS. Maybe even worse. Please be careful. January 24th, 2020. Sunny. Friday. It's New Year's Eve. Everyone's out in masks, stocking up on supplies. I waited a long time at the supermarket but didn't see you. It's fine, though. At a critical time like this, hiding at home is the safest thing. January 25th, 2020. Sunny. Saturday. Even with the new year here and this whole mess landing on us out of nowhere, you still have to find a way to be happy. When night falls, don't sit there sad and alone. Blanket girl. Happy New Year. I stared at the diary, thinking back to the year the outbreak began. At first, almost everyone was indifferent, but within a month you could see the reality of it in the videos going around online. Then it exploded everywhere, and people started to panic. Looking back, those days were like living through a war. Nobody knew what tomorrow would bring. Every day, I anxiously opened my phone to check the outbreak map. Early on the morning of January 23rd, 2020, the first big city went into full lockdown. After that, social distancing rolled out across the whole country. It was as if the entire nation had frozen in place. And yet, even in the middle of it all, warmth and tenderness were still there every day. We got through the hard part together, waiting for the day it would finally end. Thinking back on it now, it feels like a whole lifetime ago. I can't believe how much time has passed. February 3rd, 2020. Sunny Monday. Because of the outbreak, the start of the term, which was supposed to be today, got pushed back. So the school decided to hold classes online. The whole grade takes literature and English at the same time. I found your name among the more than 1,000 of us. Sometimes it's a hard thing to sit with. Why aren't we in the same class? At least during online lessons, I could be right there beside you. These online classes feel like they're dragging on forever. Will you forget what I look like? March 13th, 2020. Cloudy Friday. Blanket girl. Happy 17th birthday. March 20th, 2020. Cloudy Thursday. Things have gotten a lot better with the outbreak. Today I went downtown to pick up some study materials. And I ran into you at that little bookstore. The space was so tight, just 3 rows of shelves, 2 aisles. We were standing face to face with one shelf between us. Through the gap between the books, I could just make out your face. You were choosing a set of mock exams and seemed a little unsure. I'd already found the one that suited you best, but I didn't know how to tell you. So I pulled the book out right in front of you and dashed off to pay for it. When you saw me buy it, you copied me and bought the same one. Good, that's a relief. That one fits exactly where you are right now. After I paid, I watched you walk farther and farther away from me. It's been like that so many times before. Liking someone really is a long, thorny road. May 5th, 2020. Cloudy, Tuesday. During tonight's study hall, the homeroom teacher played a movie for the class. I was standing out in the corridor, leaning on the railing. And from that exact angle, I could see you crouched on your balcony, crying softly. Who bullied you? A math problem you couldn't crack? Sometimes guessing what you're thinking is harder than the toughest question on a math exam. A problem with no solution. It's miserable and it's worrying, and my mind is a mess over it. I folded the scratch paper in my hand into a paper airplane and sent it flying toward you. Then I went back inside, not daring to look, afraid the wind wouldn't carry my feelings all the way to you. Blanket girl, maybe you picked up that airplane, right? I picked it up, Kyle. That paper airplane, I caught it and held it tight in my hand. Look, I caught your feelings after all. This worn-out little notebook, these simple lines, every word of it was thinking of me, missing me, loving me. June 1st, 2020. Sunny Monday. Little Emma Callahan. Happy Children's Day. June 7th, 2020. Cloudy Sunday. Because of the outbreak, the college entrance exams got pushed back to July. There's no telling when this will all be over. This term, our 2 classes have PE at the same time. I often see you napping out on the grass. When I'm playing ball, I watch you. My friends say I keep losing focus. This afternoon while we were playing, I saw you wandering along outside the court. I wonder if you saw me, even with so many people playing basketball. As you came closer, I didn't dare look at you anymore. I sank the shot and then found myself looking for you again, but you were already gone. Honestly, I was a little disappointed. June 30th, 2020. Sunny Tuesday. The seniors are holding a flea market. The schoolyard is packed. I didn't go down, but from the balcony I saw you. Whenever there's a big crowd, I catch myself searching for you without even realizing it. Sometimes I feel like a crazy person. Passers-by glanced at me, surprised, then slowly turned and walked on. Maybe they couldn't understand why, on this night, the night the exams had just ended, a night when everyone else was wild with joy, this girl in a school uniform was crouched under a bus sign sobbing her heart out. After I'd cried for a long while, I picked up the notebook, stood, and walked home still crying. The tree-lined road I'd traveled from grade school all the way through high school was silent, as if even the wind didn't want to make a sound. Everything was still. Only the moon was wiping away tears. When I got home, my dad looked at the sorry state of me in surprise. My mom heard the door and poked her head out of the kitchen, still holding a dish towel, her apron on. They didn't ask what had happened. They just watched me cry my way back to my room. Just like in all the countless days I'd fallen apart growing up, they stayed silent like that. And then, a little later, set a cup of hot milk on the table for me. I sat in my bedroom with the diary spread open on the desk. I didn't even have the courage to open it again. I felt like a general who'd arrived with reinforcements far too late, looking out at the bodies of soldiers scattered across the ground, able to do nothing at all. What now? What was I supposed to do? We'd already graduated. Maybe there was no way left for the two of us to ever meet again. I didn't know. July 7th, 2020, sunny Tuesday. It's college entrance exam day. Next year it'll be our turn. Are you scared? I tried this year's exam myself. Sometimes it really does leave you feeling helpless. There's so much I'm not even allowed to decide. It's clearly my life. But I'm not the one steering it. Sometimes I just can't make sense of it. Why does the city have to be so big? You turn one corner, and you can't see the other person anymore. August 20th, 2020. Sunny Thursday. A rare chance to rest today, to step away from all the other stuff. I was talking with a friend. He told me he has someone in his heart. He said a buttoned-up guy like me could never understand what he's feeling. I told him I understood. It caught him completely off guard. He said I keep everything too locked away, that usually he just sees me writing with my head down, or out in the corridor staring through the window, or playing ball at the same fixed times. I didn't explain. I'm a timid person. My feelings are far too hidden away. So many times I wanted to speak and stopped. Everything lives in a single stolen glance, while my heart is roaring inside. The only place I dare to say it is on paper. Just then, my earphones were playing a song called The Third Person. From a third person's point of view, you come to understand that everyone has their flaws, hidden away without their even noticing. I just felt dizzy, my arms crossed over the desk, cold drops falling steadily onto the backs of my hands. The choking ache in my chest left me with nothing to do but keep turning the pages. September 20th, 2020. Sunny. Sunday. We've entered our final year now. Lately, every class has hung up a countdown board to the entrance exams. Even the screen on the teaching building is set to count down. 260 days until the 2021 exams. Looking at it, I feel a jolt of panic. 260 days, and then we'll have to say goodbye? I'm grabbing every hour to study, and grabbing every second I can to see you. Back then, our class had hung up a countdown board too, the students taking turns by their ID numbers to change the number each day. It hung right beside the blackboard. Every day, all you had to do was lift your head and there it was. And every time I looked at it, I felt an invisible weight pressing down, so heavy I couldn't breathe. It was as if that little board weighed 1,000 pounds. Every day when I lifted my head out of the sea of questions, the numbers seemed to blur. Looking back on those days, there were only endless problems to solve, endless workbooks to fill in, and endless exams to sit. Black ink and red ink layered over each other, painting out my entire youth, leaving their mark. I used to say to Grace that the things you see in TV, shows, and movies and novels are all lies. My high school had no handsome desk mate, no skipping class or cutting lessons, no scandal, no smoking, no one racing me down a highway on a motorbike in the middle of the night. And of course, a wild, reckless love like that had never once happened to me. My student life was nothing but endless classes. Mornings spent wrestling myself out of bed, choosing between washing my hair and eating breakfast just to save time. Hair falling out like rain, dark circles like a panda's. Every day lived in worry and dread of failing the exams. That was my youth. Sometimes I'd even mock myself, saying this bland little youth of mine would leave nothing worth remembering because it was just too ordinary. I sat there under the small desk lamp, turning page after page after page. The sound of my crying went on all night. October 30th, 2020. Cloudy, Friday. Seems like you've been really busy lately. It's been ages since I saw you on the balcony. Today, the school posted the list of everyone's target universities. And once again, I abused my little bit of authority to sneak a look at the one you'd chosen. Emma Callahan, Target School, University C. I admit it. During tonight's study hall, I couldn't get a single word into my head. I don't get to steer my own life. It's laughable. Reading that, a few memories suddenly came flooding back. I knew the rest of the story. How could I ever forget it? That winter break, Kyle was admitted early, straight into University B. And I went to University C, 100,000 miles away. In the timeline of my life, Kyle was only ever a brilliant person seen from very far off. We were like two parallel lines in a geometry problem. Never touching. I slumped over the desk and let the tears drown me. We'd missed each other. I didn't want to read any further. I closed the diary and hid it in my drawer. I turned off the light, pulled the blanket over my head, and sobbed. After that, the diary just stayed there, quietly, in my drawer. Sometimes I'd stare at the number 15 bus for a long time. Sometimes I'd stop and linger at the Moonview stop. And that's how I slowly waited out the days until the exam results came. My practice scores all through that final year had gone up and down, swinging by a wide margin. Countless times I broke down crying to my dad over the phone, asking what I'd do if my real scores turned out badly. My dad always said that as long as I stayed healthy, that was enough. And then I threw myself back into studying like a mad woman. So after the exams, I told my dad that if it went badly, I'd just have to accept my fate. Before the results came out, my dad kept pestering his coworkers for any inside word, but they only dodged his questions. The day the results were released was a beautiful, sunny afternoon. At noon, the moment his shift ended, my dad rushed home. The instant he stepped into my room, my results updated on the screen. The second I saw them, I burst into tears. I sat in front of the computer, crying and shouting that I'd passed. My score was even very high, the best of all the many practice tests I'd taken. Both my parents were right there beside me. My dad, who had always been so strong, was quietly wiping his eyes. My mom's eyes were brimming too. The college entrance exam is like a war to everyone who fights it. A slow, grinding kind of war that makes you cry, that won't let you stop. And when you finally turn to look back, you feel like you've been set free. I sank down into my chair, completely drained. The desk was still piled high with all the materials and books from that final year. Before the results came out, I hadn't even dared to sell them off. I'd braced myself for the worst. A few days later, my dad and I sorted through 3 years' worth of books. Books and materials of every size filled the trunk and the whole back seat. I sat in my dad's car as he drove me to the scrap dealer. That car had been through every season of my 3 years of high school with me. It had witnessed the stormy nights when I collapsed in tears, witnessed me holding a first-place certificate in my hands, glowing with joy. It had carried me through the whole of my youth. The woman at the scrap shop carefully weighed everything out. I just stood there dazed. On the way back, I held $186.10 tight in my hand, the scenery flying past the window. My youth was worth $186.10. My nose stung, sudden and sharp. After that, it was the same as it is for everyone. Learning to drive under a scorching sun, never able to park the car right, meticulously calling every big university, carefully filling out my application preferences, learning how to do makeup and dress up nicely for reunion parties, dressing formally for my ID photos, the rush of joy at getting the acceptance letter, the lady at the milk tea shop crinkling her eyes into a smile as she congratulated me. But some things aren't forgotten just because you stop mentioning them. One night, out of nowhere, they come rushing in like a tide, sweeping away your tears and every feeling you have. And then they ask you, why couldn't you have been braver? A wound eventually scabs over, but the scar stays there forever. The start of school was finally almost here. As the day of parting drew close, my mom quietly helped me pack my bags. For the last few days, I couldn't quite tell what my parents were feeling, but I could probably guess. The train ticket for early the next morning was ready and waiting. That night, I crouched in front of my suitcase, going over it carefully to see if I'd forgotten anything. My mom stood in the bedroom doorway, reminding me to bring everything I needed. I opened the drawer to check if I'd left anything behind, and there it was, that notebook. I picked it up carefully and opened it. November 23rd, 2020. Sunny, Monday. Only 196 days until the exams. Blanket girl. This year's first snow has fallen. You know what I want to say, don't you? Blanket girl, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. He'd written a stretch, then stopped, and you could tell it hadn't all been written on the same day. February 4th, 2021. Light snow, Thursday. I thought of an old story. A long time ago, a young prince was asked by his father, the emperor, which was farther away, the sun, or the faraway old capital. At first, the boy said the sun was farther, but later, when his father asked him again, the boy said the capital was farther. When they asked him why, he said, I can lift my eyes and see the sun, but I cannot see the old capital. Blanket girl. I can lift my eyes and see the sun, but I cannot see the old capital. I can lift my eyes and see the sun, but I cannot see you. February 12th, 2021. Cloudy, Friday. Blanket girl. Happy New Year. March 13th, 2021. Sunny, Saturday. Blanket girl. Happy 18th birthday, May 5th, 2021. Sunny, Wednesday. Today was graduation photo day, and I finally had a chance to take all the pictures of you I wanted. You're so beautiful. So many people were lining up to take photos with you. I brought my camera and hid in a corner not too far off. I asked someone else to take a picture of me, and in that photo, there's the tilted outline of you in the background. Half you, half me. This is our photo together. I picked up the photo tucked into the diary. In it, the boy's eyes were looking my way, full of love. I kept reading. The camera that day took so many pictures of you, and they're all in this QR code. I hope that one day you'll get to see yourself the way you look in my eyes. In every single moment to me, you were shining. Love really can cover over everything. Eyes brimming, I used my phone to scan the QR code inside the diary. The video opened on a boy standing in the glow of sunset, his back straight, in a plain white shirt and black trousers that somehow carried a quality all their own on him. After a few seconds, he spoke, his voice cool and low against my ear. Blanket girl, are you ready? And the moment the words ended, there I was, nearly toppling over at the flag ceremony, nodding off in class, wolfing down breakfast whenever I got a spare second, racing off to the cafeteria, a file exactly 130 megabytes in size, a number that wasn't an accident at all, holding the whole of his youth inside it. At the end of the video, That photo of us, the one that couldn't quite count as a photo of us together, lingered on the screen for a long, long time. I felt as if a hand had closed around my heart and lifted it clean off the ground, and I couldn't move. It turns out that the deepest sorrow of all is silence. Early June 2021. Sunny Sunday. This afternoon we have to get the exam rooms ready. Tomorrow morning we bring everything home. There's hardly anyone left at school. I still haven't gone. I saw you carrying your blanket toward the front gate. Your back getting farther and farther from me. But I just stood there. I really want to tell you. The truth is, the very first time I saw you, my heart already started pounding. Blanket girl. I'm picking up my pen to write the very last entry in this diary. My youth is ending, abruptly, right here. This one last time. I want to be brave. I'm going to set my diary down on top of your stack of books. If one day you find it, and if you're willing, you can call me. Any time at all, I'll be here. Kyle Bradford, 155 6003. I felt like I couldn't stand up any longer. I gripped the bed frame, the dizziness making me tremble without stopping. Why hadn't I read it all through sooner? Why couldn't I have been just a little braver back then? He had walked 100 steps toward me, and I never once saw him. I sank down onto the floor, feeling the tears I thought had dried up, burst free again like a broken dam, my chest aching. One hand clutching the diary, I trembled as I dialed each number. All the time I'd been absent was Kyle's entire youth, held there in place, waiting. In those 3 years and 5 months of his, I'd planted a firm little seed of a great glorious tree. I'm sorry, I'm truly, truly sorry. Ring. 1 second, 2 seconds. My heart shaking. The call connected, and the suffocating heaviness in the air grew heavier still. I didn't say anything, afraid the whole thing might just be an illusion. Then, choking, I said, "Kyle." There was a long silence on the other end, and through the blur of my tears I heard, "Blanket girl, it's me." Here's the little piece that came after, the part one I'll never stop being grateful for. It was 11:30 at night. I was on the phone. "Blanket girl, it's me." Hearing his voice, my sobbing only got louder. I opened my mouth to say something, but nothing came out. What was there to say? He'd gotten into University B, and I was about to leave for far-off University C. Our story wasn't supposed to have an ending. Just like my youth, it was full of regret, caught somewhere between everything gained and everything lost. I really do understand now why, in the end, he chose to give me the diary. With a personality like his, he'd never have wanted his feelings to become a burden. So he handed the decision over to me. He didn't let the story fade out in silence. He passed it to me instead, giving the story hidden inside that little notebook one chance. The number was right there, and I chose to dial it, my hands shaking. We're both cowards, but you can't stay a coward forever, not when it comes to love. Let's be warriors instead, carrying our sincerity and our unfinished stories, forging them into a sharp sword to raise high and cut through every thorn, until we find the rose that belongs to us. He'd fought his way through so much to get to my side. Why on earth would I push him away? I took a deep breath and slowly spoke. "Hello, Kyle Bradford. I'm Emma Callahan, class 22, senior year, class of 2021. Would you give me the chance to get to know you all over again?" My voice cracked with tears again, and from the other end, the boy's warm voice slowly answered. "Hello, Emma Callahan. I'm Kyle Bradford, class 1, class of 2021. It's so nice to meet you." I felt like such a mess. I just kept crying and crying. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop. "Write down today's interesting thing," he said. And then, after a long pause, I suddenly ran to the window. A tall, thin figure was standing under the bus stop. Just like a very long time ago, he was there, waiting to see whether I would come. I stumbled down the stairs, and our eyes met the moment he turned around. He looked at me, and a smile broke across his face before he could stop it. His face was bright and fresh, though his hair was a little messy from rushing over. This time, it wasn't the fourth floor and the first floor gazing at each other from far away. It wasn't a gap of 1,000 people between us. It wasn't a silhouette seen at a diagonal across two buildings. It wasn't pretending to drift down the corridor just to sneak a glance. It wasn't a half-hearted graduation photo. It wasn't notes scribbled onto the margins of an exam. It wasn't the regret of passing each other by. It wasn't two faces glimpsed through a gap in a bookshelf. It wasn't holding a uniform jacket at a bus stop and never daring to offer it. It wasn't a secret code name written in a diary. The dry, warm wind of the summer night lifted the hem of the girl's skirt and set the boy's shirt fluttering. The moon finally closed its eyes, content at last, and the stars all around seemed to be throwing a party to celebrate. "Blanket girl, this time will you tell me your number?" My tears kept dripping, and hearing him say that, I couldn't hold myself together, and yet I was so happy. Thank goodness. I hadn't missed it after all. My smile was uglier than my crying, the corners of my mouth curving up while the tears refused to stop. The wind carried my words to his ear. Gladly. Thank you all for listening.